In reflecting back over my time as an RV owner, I came up with 5 things I wish I'd known before I purchased my first RV. If I had known this information before I made my first purchase, I might have had more realistic expectations, been better prepared for the experience, and made some different choices. Hey everybody, this is John Marucci. Thanks for visiting the On the Road YouTube channel. You know, this channel is all about helping you get the most out of your RV travel experience. Before we get going, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, remember to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified when new videos are published. If you want to dive deeper, we put more content and photos on Instagram and Twitter at John Marucci. So let's jump in. Here's my list of 5 things I wish I'd known before I purchased my first RV. Number 1, I wish I'd known the importance of finding a good dealer. As a newbie, it's easy to focus in on just the model that you want and the price, and you downplay the importance of the dealer relationship. You know, the dealer may actually be even more important than the brand or model you're interested in. They may be your only option to get warranty work performed, since non-selling dealers are not obligated to perform warranty work on your RV. Oftentimes, the dealer approach seems to be somewhat short-sighted. Often, the dealer can treat the customer like the sale is the only sale they're going to get, much like a home versus a vehicle purchase. So it's kind of a once-and-out mentality among dealers versus a multiple-time experience. And unfortunately for some dealers, that can be a self-fulfilling prophecy. But you know, that can work both ways. Customers can also over-haggle and end up being a dread for the dealer to see and cause a relationship breach when you need to use that dealer in the future. So here's what I want to see in a good dealer. First is honesty and trustworthiness. You know, a trustworthy dealer will give good advice versus poor advice in terms of towing. A lot of times dealers, unfortunately, will give poor towing advice and say that almost any vehicle you bring in can tow their trailer just to get the sale. And that really hurts the credibility of the dealer. And also not mentioning limitations on warranty work. You know, dealers should, if they're honest, tell you that you're going to probably need to bring the trailer back to their dealership to get warranty work done, and that your local dealer, especially if you're traveling far, won't necessarily be willing to do that warranty work. A good dealer also communicates well, keeps you up to date on any issues. They're preemptive on finding issues, so a really good dealer will actually find issues before you take the unit out and fix them so that you don't have to come back and do a bunch of warranty work. They'll find it up front. They usually do quality work in a timely manner also, so a good dealer won't put off work and cause you to wait too much and be out of season with your trailer, and they can perform in a timely manner. The other thing to look for in a good dealer is long-term staff. So this is really important to think about for a moment. If a dealer has long-term staff, people have been around for many years, that's usually a good sign that they know how to keep their staff happy and they retain skilled staff. And that's really what you want when you want work done on your RV. You want someone who's going to work on it, who's been doing this for a while. And so keeping long-term staff happy isn't easy to do as a small business. And when you see a dealer who's doing this, that's probably a good sign. The next thing is they're usually an advocate for you with the manufacturer. So if you have a warranty issue or something that has to go back to the manufacturer, they stand on your side to work with you for the manufacturer to do what they need to do to get things right. So that's also something very important to know in a dealer, that will they advocate for you with the manufacturer. Again, an important thing is they're close enough to be accessible. Now this is only important if the above things are valid, so I would rather have a dealer that's close by, given that they're honest and trustworthy, that they have long-term staff, they do quality work, than have a dealer far away. The other thing is they're also reasonably priced. So if you're looking at new units, almost as a guarantee, you should be getting 20 to 30% off the list price of your RV from the dealer. So just be aware of that. That's common practice. So also, what can you do about this if you really want to find a good local dealer? The first thing is ask people you know who have RVs, who they've purchased from, and if they're satisfied with the dealer experience. So if you know anyone who's purchased an RV lately, ask them where they went and if they like the experience and are pleased with their dealer. And do this early enough in your process that they can feel free to share their honest opinion. So you just bought a new RV and you go to them and say, what do you think about the dealer? I mean, you've already done your deal. Go early enough in your process while you're still doing your research that your friend or person you know who just bought an RV can be honest with their opinion about the dealer, and it'll actually help in your process. Okay, the next item is to research online reviews about dealers you're considering. So this is as simple as doing a Google search of the dealership, and Google will show reviews on the side panel, and you can look at those reviews and see how people rate the dealer. Now, whenever you're doing reviews, even if you're looking at a hotel, you want to throw out the outliers as a general practice. So anything incredibly bad or incredibly glowing and good, you want to kind of take out and get a feel for what the average consensus is of those reviews. So you may find some poor reviews of a dealer, but they're only few and far between, but the general consensus is that it's pretty good. And that's what you want to look for. So just do a Google search for the dealer that you're considering, and you'll get reviews on that dealer. Next thing that's very important is that you should adjust course in your process if issues arise. So if you're working with a dealer and something arises that they're just not willing to deal with, you might want to pause the process if you have this kind of hesitation with the dealer you're working with. It's better to back out than regret later. So whenever you feel that tinge of like, this isn't going well relationally with my dealer, you have the power up to the point that you purchase to just walk out and find another place. Okay, so that's all about the first thing I wish I'd known around the dealer. The second thing I wish I'd known was about realistic build quality expectations. So this is really important when you're thinking about buying an RV, especially for the first time. You need to go in understanding and having realistic build quality expectations. I think you may deal with less frustration if you just establish realistic expectations from the beginning. RVs and especially trailers, small trailers, often are built more like brick and sticks versus precise automotive construction. The terms handcrafted are good only if they're good. And these are handcrafted. They're mainly built by hand. And so it's very dependent on who's working on that unit when it's built. You can have some new folks working on the line and established folks, and they are handcrafted. And so be aware of that. If you lower your expectations a little and don't expect perfection in manufacturing, then you may have a better experience just by managing your expectations. You may purchase a new vehicle, for example, and never have any warranty work done on it. But that's not been my experience when purchasing trailers. In every situation with my trailers, all of them that I bought, I've had to take them back for some sort of warranty work. So just be aware of that. It's not necessarily the same experience as with a car. So here's some things you can do. You can ask people who've had units from the same make and model manufacturer and see what they think about it. It can be helpful, but it may not be a representative of everyone who has one of these units. Another thing you can do is research on social media, and this really can help. Go to forums or Facebook groups and generally look for trends around that model. So if you look for R-Pods, there's very strong R-Pod Facebook groups. You can look around and see what people's feedback is on the quality of the R-Pods. But you really, again, you want to look at the trends and the consensus and not the exceptions. There's always going to be people who are glowing about something and people who are very frustrated with their experience. So look for the general consensus for feedback as you're looking at makes and models. Look closely when you're touring RVs. So this is another thing. Before you buy, obviously, you want to walk through quite a few of these to do good stewardship around the purchase process. And it's easy to be wowed by certain features and miss potential issues. If you're not detail-oriented, consider bringing someone who is. So if you're very high level and you don't see detail, it may be helpful to bring a friend or spouse or someone who really can see detail, and they may catch some things you're missing that are build quality issues that you may want to steer your course a different direction. And then adjust your course if concerns arise. There may be other models with similar features yet with better reputations. Remember not to fall in love with a brand or model and be pragmatic. Okay, so let's go into the third thing I wish I'd known. So I wish I'd known what a good orientation walkthrough consisted of. So characteristics of a good orientation walkthrough is that it's going to show you the major features, things like how to run the thermostat, how to run the water heater, both on LP and electric, the electrical system, appliances, how to hitch up, information about your tanks and dumping. So, a good walkthrough should provide some hands-on experience and let you try things. Allows time for questions and includes follow-up and provides additional resources. So this is really important because oftentimes, this is rushed through, and you want to make sure the dealer you're working with is willing to take time with you doing the orientation, especially if it's your first time. A thorough orientation cannot take place in 15 minutes and should not be done in a rush. So here's something you can do as far as the orientation. You can watch videos about the models you're considering, and there's a lot to learn if you're a newbie. Make notes of the systems, processes that seem confusing to you. And learn as much as possible before you arrive. And let me just pause there for a second. If you didn't know, the whole reason for this channel is to help people in this process. When we first bought our first R-Pod a few years ago, we had no information, and there was a big gap in terms of helping us to understand the different processes, systems, buying process, the whole thing. And so I really felt strongly that after we went through some of the tough experiences we did, that what we know might help others, and that's why we started the channel. It was a missing gap, and we started to provide videos to help folks. And hopefully they're helpful to you even today. But another thing is to consider the day and time carefully when you're scheduling a walkthrough. To complete the sales process and doing the orientation can take some time. So you want to try and avoid busy times or times near closing. So pick a time with your dealer to do the walkthrough and finish out the purchase so you have plenty of time and they're not in a rush. And they'll give you more time, and make sure you demand that too, because you are spending quite a bit of money to buy a trailer, and you want to make sure you got the dealer's full attention. Ask questions during the process. Ask them to repeat info if you didn't get it. Ask to try things yourself, so not just them talking about the thermostat, but have them walk you through it, and you try it. Turn things off and on. You adjust the refrigerator. You go out and look how to turn on the electric to the water heater. And then if you can, and if they'll let you, video the process so you can review it again. Have someone with you with an iPhone or another camera and video the walkthrough so you can review it. Okay, let's move on to the fourth thing I wish I'd known, and that is I wish I'd known what a good towing setup should be like. Consider tow vehicles and capacities versus RV needs. So what I mean by that is, the dealer should understand what tow vehicle you have and what your RV is, and if there's a problem there, if you don't have enough capacity, they should know that. Now this is very important that you should know that too. So if you're a newbie and you're going in to buy your first RV or R-Pod, you need to understand what your tow vehicle can handle and what the weights are that you're dealing with the travel trailer that you're purchasing. So this happened on my first purchase with my R-Pod 171. The dealer actually put the wrong size shank into the weight distribution hitch setup, and the R-Pod rode out of balance for quite a while, and I didn't understand it. So I caught onto it after a few weeks and realized this isn't set up properly, and I went back to the dealer, but they basically didn't know what they're doing or were lazy and put the wrong shank in, and I had to discover that and have them order a new shank and readjust the towing. So the towing situation was not good for the first couple of weeks. And of course I'm a newbie, so I didn't understand it that well, and I trusted the dealer to set it up properly at first. So it's better that you learn these things before you actually go. So here's something you can do. Obviously, research the situation with others with similar setups. Again, do the research, find out if people are satisfied with their weight distribution hitch setups, and again, throw out the outliers if you're doing research. And watch videos about weight distribution hitches. If you're getting a Blue Ox versus an E2, there's videos out there that'll help you understand how they're supposed to be set up. So again, you go into the situation for the towing setup with some knowledge versus being ignorant about it. And if the setup doesn't seem right to you, make sure you say something. Remember, safety first. And if your tow setup isn't set up right, it can be unsafe. You're the one who has to live with it, so make sure if it doesn't seem right to you that you say something. So don't assume the dealer has your best in mind. What they're trying to do is sell trailers. And in my case, obviously, they didn't do the weight distribution hitch correctly, and we had to get it corrected. Okay, now the fifth thing I want to talk about of something I wish I'd known is I wish I'd known how I was going to use my trailer. Up front, what I discovered concerning about how I use my RV is really not for camping. When I first started out, I took the 171 out, the R-Pod 171 out a few times and enjoyed it on like weekend trips, etc. But realized pretty quickly that what I was going to use my RV for was for working and living remotely for longer trips. So I'm fortunate I have the opportunity to work remotely when I want to. So it's not really a camping experience I'm looking for a solution for. I'm really looking for a unit that will facilitate me working and living remotely for longer periods. And that means I'm going to spend a little more time in the RV, so smaller isn't necessarily better. And, I needed more kitchen space versus eating outside all the time because I was going to be away from home for longer periods, and also at times when being outside wasn't as convenient or the weather wasn't as nice. So really, I would have liked to have bought initially a unit that was a little bigger. So if you know my story, I bought a 171 up front, and then after a little less than a year, I ended up selling it and bought a 179, which is larger, that facilitated much more nicely the lifestyle that I was traveling with. So it's configured differently, a little larger kitchen, more work and living space, the 179 versus the 171. So here's some things you can do. Consider your desires. How do you plan on using your RPod or RV? Check out as many new places as possible. You know, are you going to be moving a lot, or are you going to just be doing weekend camping, short stints, and you don't need a large unit? So you got to kind of think through how you're going to use the unit to determine, you know, what you're going to purchase, and hopefully get the unit that you really want is going to satisfy you want. Next, consider your opportunities. Do you have unique opportunities like I do? Are you able to work remotely? If you are, it's a great advantage to being out in the trailer if you want to get away a little bit, or even maybe fly south for the winter sometime. So if you have the ability to work remotely, maybe try that some. And if that's the case, think about, you know, what kind of trailer you need in conjunction with those desires. Consider your needs. Are there things you really need? Do you want a larger dry bath versus a wet bath? Do you have special diets, so you're going to need to cook specially and have a larger kitchen, etc.? And also consider your limitations. Are there things you can't do? In other words, do you have work constraints? Do you have to be at an office regularly? Maybe a larger RV isn't even needed. Maybe you just need the weekend warrior model. So hopefully, if you're shopping for your first RV, these tips will help you level set your expectations and enable you to make better decisions in the purchasing process. While RVs can be a lot of work, they provide many opportunities for enjoyment. Are there things you wish you had known before purchasing an RV? If so, feel free to share them in the comments below. Remember, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share it. Thanks for watching. This is John Marucci, and so long for now.